Hey everyone, welcome back to the Plant Nerd Podcast. I'm your host, Mario Camarella, and with me we have the perennial princess, Kata. We have Michelle, the garden maven, and Devin. Devin, I don't even know what you do, but I know you're a plant nerd, and we're so glad to have you.
He's the plant nerd.
So we're going to take around the horn. So everybody tell me what's growing on in your neck of the woods. Kata, let's start with you. I know we got the perennial princess here. What's going on perennials in the fall?
I think it's really funny that I went from queen to princess, but that's okay.
I love alliteration. I love alliteration.
1 week, and I got downgraded. Yeah, Mario, it's really interesting. This has been my first week in a very long time to be fully at home, which, as we know, my job really takes me all over the place. So it's been really interesting to actually be at home and kind of look what is going on in my garden. I always feel so jealous that like Michelle always knows what's going on, and I'm like, I have no idea. Haven't been in my garden in a long time. But yeah, I really had a fantastic time at home looking what my plants are doing. I was so astonished how many plants still really, really look good, even though, they're not the typical fall plants. So like I always feel like when you talk about fall plants, you think grasses, asters, pansies, all those, things that really people buy for fall. But I thought it was so interesting this week to also just kind of observe what looks good that I bought because it blooms in May, and this was my focus. Like my nepetas still look so good. I cut them back in midsummer, I think. And now they're like reflushed, really look juicy again. So it's been really nice to kind of see what did well. Also, if I may, I know we all know that I'm obsessed with mangaves, and I probably for the next couple of weeks still will talk about them. But when I was in California on vacation, nobody watered my containers, and so all the annuals around it died, but the mangaves look stunning. And now in fall, especially those that have more red pigments in it, so like pineapple punch, they just look so amazing surrounded by those dead annuals. So I got to figure out what to do with the rest of the pots. But, this is just how real life gardening is.
Yeah, some succulents for those pots. Some like sedum. Angelina sedum.
Oh God. I've definitely had enough Angelina in my life. So
that's nice to mess with you.
I really kind of want to I know we quickly talked about that Michelle will lead into container gardening, so I can't wait to hear what she has to say, because hopefully this will give me ideas for my
I was going to say, speaking of dead annuals in containers, I feel like I haven't yet. I bought a flat of pansies, so I'm really proud of myself. I don't do a lot of annuals, but I really need some ideas. What I've been doing for each of my containers is I have an evergreen, so like a box or something, and then I will put annuals around it. Saves a little bit of money, but I miss the color, and I've got a bit of dead annuals as well. So outside of pansies and like violas, what are your favorite things to add into containers that are annuals? I would love some suggestions.
I like snapdragons a lot because, they look really pretty right now. In the dead of winter, they'll kind of just be tall and green for you. But then, like, in the spring, oh my gosh, when it starts warming up, they're like an explosion of color. And if you have them in part sun, snapdragons will actually live year-round.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't think about that, but if they're in some part sun, they'll live year. I've had snapdragons for years in the same pots.
Yeah, I have too.
Yeah,
it's a little bit of a trial. You don't know, but it's like a quest. Can I get the snapdragon? Like, can I change it from an annual to a perennial? And then also snapping the little dragon. It is probably no greater puppet show for me and my two little girls to do a little puppet show with the snapdragons. I love them.
My girls call them woof woofs because they look like, like little dogs or something. So they're like, Mommy, the woof woofs. But I need to buy them and try to make them perennial.
Now, if I could give you one, Dusty Miller.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like Dusty Miller. You can almost go perennial with Dusty Miller. It can almost be an evergreen if you protect it for a couple hard freezes. I just like it. I like the blue green, and I just don't. I just go heavy on blue green. It just really makes my other colors really shine. I think.
I like Swiss chard a lot too, and then you can eat it, and then mustard as well.
Yeah.
Mustard, the little leaves, when the little leaves come out on the mustard, you can eat them, and it's like, oh my gosh, it's like got this horseradishy like spice kick to it. It's actually amazing.
Is it?
Oh my god, yes, the little leaves that are like this big, just pluck them off from the bottom and throw them in salad, and it's just like, it'll get you.
Little microgreen.
Yeah.
That's what everybody wants while eating their salad, right?
It's just a little bite, give it some
I always love how it's so obvious that like here we have Michelle and Mario with their like family lives, and here's Kata and Devin.
Yeah.
We like don't have to think if maybe kids do not like it. Like this is fun.
But the Swiss chard is good. You can do Swiss chard, and it's pretty. It comes in the yellow and the red. I love Swiss chard. It's really pretty.
I actually had a cyclamen that I planted in early spring, and it's somehow still alive. It's in parched shade. And you were talking about protecting containers. How many things do you protect before a freeze, and are you blanketing your garden?
Are you talking to me?
Not.
Yeah, I want to know. Well, I mean, maybe you don't have it.
You don't want to know cold prep for me when it gets cold. I have a lot of citrus, so my garage my 2-car garage is usually packed, and all kinds of houseplants outside of my yard in Florida. So outside of that, like for annuals and stuff, if it gets super cold, I just make sure I water it really good before it's going to be cold, because that water actually will insulate the roots. And if it's going to be like in the single digits and teens, you can just throw a sheet over the pot, and that's about it for annuals. So, but we won't talk about my citrus and hibiscus and houseplants and mangaves and agaves that I have to move into the garage when it gets down. Yeah.
Well, so what's going on with you, Devin? What's going on? Like,
things are still busy here at the switch yard and everything. Trees, we've been selling lots of big trees, but I'm personally excited because the last 2 weekends, I finally, now that it's cool enough in Tallahassee, went out and weeded my yard and planted my fall vegetable garden. I got my fire pit done. I got some sand last weekend and got all the paths around the fire pit all sanded, and had me a nice bonfire out there this weekend. So I've got an awesome space in my backyard for bonfires. I'm getting super close to not having any dirt in my yard anymore. I just need a little bit of sod to go finish my citrus, and then I'm done. So I'm happy that I got my yard weeded, because it was really, really bad. You don't want to see a picture of my weed pile. It's huge.
I mean, maybe we do, because it's what everybody has. Like,
yeah, it's probably 15 feet wide, 6 feet deep, about 5 feet tall. So it's big, but it'll be great soil in a couple years.
There you go. Yeah, I always put it. I think it's like also so great to take all your weeds and put them actually in with like leaf piles, and then like really mix them well. It makes the best soil ever.
The best compost. Like, I just will let a weed pile sit there, and then like in a year or two, you just go dig at it, and it's just perfect black soil. It's awesome.
Yeah, much needed in the South.
Yeah,
much needed.
Yes.
Combat the clay.
Mulching. Anybody want to provide any more color on what are we doing out? What else? What other nutrification things are you doing this fall, Devin?
Well, now, I mean, I don't know about anyone else, but up here in my parents' yard in Atlanta, leaves have started to fall. And so it's that time of year with leaf removal. And one thing I've started doing in the past 2 years, mainly because one of my friends up in Charlotte, when I lived up there, she lived by it, where instead of blowing all your leaves away, blowing them in the woods, burning them, or you can mix them in the compost, which is great, or bagging them up and leave them at the street. I actually just take my lawn, I blow them all out in the grass, and then take my push lawnmower and run it over it and on the high setting and chop up the leaves. And then I actually put that in the beds around the plants, and then throw in like a little bit of compost, like the Foothills compost, to help break it down. And it helps insulate the plants when it's cold, and also it'll break down and give them such great nutrients. Because if you think about it, like in the woods, all those leaves fall, break down. That's how the trees get all their nutrients. So it's like all natural fertilization. So I started doing that 2 years ago, and my plants have looked so much better. So I just wanted to give a little PSA about mulching your leaves because it actually is awesome.
I do the same.
Well, there's so much to do. There's so much. There's so many leaves, especially in Atlanta. There's a lot of it.
Yeah. So,
Michelle, what else do you do with it?
No, I do the same. But I was going to say that, like, I used to have a gas-powered blower, and I could never get it to start. But I switched over to like one of those little battery-powered ones, and it's amazing. I've never had a cleaner little walkway because I can just go out. Sometimes I want to do that to the inside of my house, like all my kids' crap. Just...
but someone was telling me to blow out the inside of their house with a leaf blower, and I was with a little battery leaf blower, and I was like, what? And they're like, I blow out the inside of my house. It gets all the dog hair and dust out from under the furniture. And I was like, okay.
Only this.
I do it to my
single
car.
Person in Florida.
Yeah, I do it to my car. I don't vacuum my car.
I do it to my car, but I've never done it to the house yet.
Wait, maybe we should have an episode where it's called "Learn from the Single Florida Man."
There you go. But it wasn't a Florida person. It was someone up here that said they were doing that. I can't remember who it was. I was just dumbfounded. Where they're like, "Yeah, I just used the leaf blower in my house to blow out the house." I'm like, "What?"
I've never done that.
It does sound like somebody from Florida would do that.
Yeah, no, that doesn't surprise me.
No offense.
Yeah,
no offense, all Florida listeners. Here's the Austrian.
There you go. In Florida, I don't have to worry about leaves till February, so it's fine.
Wow, February?
They don't fall off. They hold on all winter. They don't fall off till they start pushing out new leaves. They'll just hang on to them all winter brown, and then as soon as like it starts to warm up, they drop all their leaves and push out new leaves. I
think that was really one thing that like was such a learning curve for me when I came from Austria. You know, the leaves fall within 2 weeks. Boom, they're down on the ground. You clean them up, and you're done. And here in North Carolina, it's like they fall, you clean. They fall more, you clean more. And like it just keeps going. And I'm like, we're trying to establish a lawn in our house right now because we're getting ready to sell it, and like it's so much work, and you know, people love lawns. Minus us. But so we're trying to establish this lawn, and it's just like constantly trying to clean off the leaves of those like teeny tiny you know, lawns coming up, and it's so much work. Like
you almost have
to do understand why people are so frustrated. Well, and I can't use the leaf blower this time because it would like get all my seeds all over.
Yep. Pick them up by hand, Kata. Just
I'm picturing you.
Yeah, it's exactly around. You know, my personality.
What else do you have to do?
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, hey, for example, come down to Atlanta. See you next week.
Yes. It's going to be exciting.
I know, right?
All right. So who else is planting something this year? I mean, this fall? Are there any other plantings? Like you got all this leaf matter. We talked about the annuals. Who's planting what?
I'm planting chartreuse on the loose, Nepeta. I found some in Atlanta, and I saw Walter's Garden post about it. Then I saw it in store, and I was like, I'm going to need all of these.
I know, it is so great. Actually, we're getting ready to like release a post today or tomorrow, I don't know, where I talk about it. So I was in Michigan last week, and it just looked so good. Like even in Michigan, and it's October, and there was still blooms on it, and the bees were on it, and I tried to make a reel, but obviously I'm not as good as Michelle on all these things. So I needed like a serious one-on-one social media reel teaching lesson from her. But it was like, it was so interesting to see where bees still go to. And like chartreuse on the loose was one that like bees were still on there. And it was so fascinating to see. Got to learn how to do those reels. So everybody can see what I see.
I have some Nepeta in the back, and then a swamp sunflower, who's just almost taken over my backyard garden. I mean, literally hundreds of bees were on it the other day. And it's just, it's really, I didn't really realize how tall it got. Last year, the first year I planted, it got about like 5-6 feet tall. This year, it's like 10 feet tall.
Oh yeah, those things get huge,
and they flopped.
Oh yeah, that's my problem. Is it's planted near the driveway, and it was nice and upright, and then
yeah, it's totally flopped. I have it on a hillside, have a little wall in front, and then I just kind of like pushed them to the side so they would flop. So they kind of flop along the wall, and so I kind of guided their sort of the laying down, because once they lay down, they come back up.
Yeah.
Lay down and they come back up. And now, and I brought them inside. I brought them inside for a lot of bouquets this fall. And I've been really pleasantly surprised at how long their blooms will stay. If they soak up a ton of water, but just bright. Of course, you have to clear them out after about 5 or 6 days inside because all the pollen will drop. And it kind of stains the counter.
Yeah.
I'm not excited about that phase. But the first 5 days have been great. So it'll tell you.
Do you know which cultivars you have?
What?
Which cultivars do you have? Or which ones do you have?
I think this is the straight native.
Oh.
Yeah. Baker Environmental grows it. Straight native. Gosh, I don't even know the botanical.
I can't remember the botanical either. Is it it's Helianthus, I'm pretty sure.
Yes, Helianthus. August,
yeah.
Something with August in it. And therefore, starts blooming in August and it's still going.
That's so cool.
I
think another one that, sorry, you go.
Oh, you're good. I was going to say, I got a cool plant last week that I liked, and it's chartreuse. It's Drops of Jupiter oregano.
Ooh.
And it was blooming, and I've seen some come through, but I've never seen it bloom. And they were just loaded in buds, and so I had to buy me 5 for my yard. So,
well, the cool one of that is that when the blooms actually drop, so like when the real flower drops, its calyx is so dark and purple that a untrained eye doesn't even realize it's not blooming. Like people think it is blooming, but that's not the bloom. It's just a calyx. Like the flower is already
maybe what it is, but it looks awesome.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Some to give me some pops of color because I love that chartreuse.
Yeah.
The one plant that I also realized, or never realized until this week, that is so fantastic still in fall is Alstroemeria. I never thought that Alstroemeria would bloom that long.
Can we get a comment on that?
Peruvian Lily.
Yes, Peruvian Lily. People know it mostly for cut flowers and from weddings, and everybody has seen them in the supermarket, for $9 at Harris Teeter type of thing. But they are such fantastic perennials in the South, and now there are so many cultivars that are really great in the North too. But I felt like the look of it looks like this typical June plant to me. I don't know why. There is no explanation. But to me, a flower like this looks like June. And it's still in full bloom. And while we're at it, I do want to do a little cutter hack, share one. So it is a cut flower. It's really great, but you should never actually cut the flower. You should twist them out. If you twist out, it reblooms much longer.
Okay.
So little cut flower hack.
I'll give that a try because my Alstroemerias were blooming and end of February, beginning of March, and then in the summer they died down to the ground, were nothing. But now that it's cooled off, they've actually pushed back up and they got buds on them. So I'm excited to see them bloom. So
yeah, for sure,
it's a great plant.
I don't know why.
So one of the things, one of the gifts I got, we had a little daughter's birthday. We got a bird book that you press a little thing and it does the little sound, and it's really cute, and they love the book. But one of the things that it didn't have that I wish I had is what seed those birds really want. And so we're starting to see a lot of seed heads pop up. My daughters are out there. We're spreading around some of our, echinacea seeds and stuff like this, stuff that's already kind of burnt up. Are y'all saving any of these seeds, or what seed heads are you seeing out there right now? Are y'all doing anything with them?
My seed heads, I had home flowers and black-eyed Susans, and I just left them. But the birds had pretty much picked all the seeds off of them already, so I don't really have any right now. I've been having to keep my bird feeders full because, man, the birds are hungry right now.
I am that unpopular opinion. I cut everything back before it gets to, because I like my
Edward Scissorhands
to be big and lush. I just think there is benefits to both of it, but cutting stuff back makes them reflush again, and it gets better over the winter, and they're healthier plants. So I know this is not trendy or a trendy opinion
we went from
right now.
Queen to princess. Yeah, I think I don't know what it's going to be next time, but we'll be down wrong.
Well, I am known for being very blunt and honest. So yes, I'll work my way up. I'm also highly competitive, so don't you worry. Give it 2 weeks and I'm up back to the queen.
Okay, this year I'm saving the dahlia seeds because I planted them and they were so fun. The mystery behind like what will it look like? I yanked a few of them that weren't cute, but it was a fun little experiment. That
will be cool.
Yeah.
How about you, Maria?
Yeah.
Now that you downgraded me for my opinion, I really want to know what you do for the birds.
Yeah, no, we have the echinacea. So we're cutting them back, but we're kind of crushing up the little seed heads, and then I'm just having my girls go out in the pine straw and just spread them. I'm not very. I don't have a whole lot of experience harvesting seeds, and then just kind of hand. I mean, is that the best way to do it? Does anybody know a better way?
For like birds, or you want to actually conserve it to grow plants?
Well, I felt like, it's kind of survival of the fittest out there, If the birds get to the seeds, that's fine. And then, if they germinate, that would be great, right?
Yeah,
so I mean, it's really hard to broadly answer this.
Yeah. I was going to say, it depends on the variety of coneflower.
Yeah.
The ones we were playing with was Magnus.
Okay, that'll do it.
Yeah.
That'll do it.
I just tall, big broad seed head.
On my Cheyenne Spirits and my powwow coneflowers, I do leave those heads on for a while just so that the seeds can fall around them and reseed more next year in case like one of them doesn't come back. And then like the birds can get what they want, but that's mainly the only coneflowers I leave my heads on. The others that are sterile, I just whack them off like kata. So
how do people know if they're sterile?
It's off the cultivar.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
A lot of the cool, pretty much a lot of the cool new ones, they're not.
Sterile.
We can't spread the seeds. When you say kata,
which is also a benefit. Like,
it is.
Talk about like sterility is a huge benefit to plants as well. Like, an echinacea won't do much harm if you have a couple seed straw.
Well, let's talk about hellebores.
Yeah, there is definitely plants you do want to cut back unless you want a hellebore.
Thousands.
Orientalis, you're gonna have 1 million.
Yes, and they are a pain in the to weed.
Mm-hmm.
But we should definitely do a whole episode about like preserving seeds and when to sow it and how to really do it. So that was actually part of my former job was seed propagation. So that was kind of my specialty for a long time, and I definitely love seeds, and I'm very close with some people who work in seed propagation for a living. So I think we should definitely make that
that sounds awesome.
In one of the opposite.
I want to hear all about that because I also want to learn how to harvest seeds out of my vegetable garden.
Yes. So seed propagation, I do hear that we do need to have a full episode on the toxicity of plants and dogs and pets. I think that's a whole episode. And if anybody's listening, they have an idea of where we will need to dive deep and really plant nerd out. What should we talk about? So that's an open.
Sure.
Have people comment below on any topics they want us to talk about.
Yeah.
Always are looking for topics.
Awesome. Well, this has been the Plant Nerd Podcast. Thank you, Kata, soon to be princess of Perennials, Michelle, the millennial makeover maven, and Devin, the plant nerd. From where? I don't know.
Plant nerd from Florida. Kata can make fun of me for that.
Hey, I love you.
I know. It's all in fun.
Well, we'll see everybody next time where we talk about what's growing on with the Plant Nerd Podcast. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Tschüss.